Hello, my friend. This video is part of a series which attempts to investigate basic existential and philosophical questions in situations where one is simply in natural surroundings with some of the basic elements of nature. This series is really called Investigative Forest Philosophy. And this is only the second day of this project, which I have no idea how long it's gonna last, and certainly have no idea what will be discovered, if anything will be discovered. But today I thought I'd allow myself a change in scenery, and instead of the forest, now I will be with the waters, and also with the sunlight on the waters. Which is a very unique phenomenon that really has to make for a real good video. The thing about the waters is that they're always moving, quite expressly, and every single moment when looking at the water, the surface of the water is having some kind of shape, which it has actually never had before, and never perhaps will have again. When the light meets the water, then that unique shape of that surface is illumined. It becomes very vivid. And it becomes clear that on the surface of the waters there is an amazing amount of movement. Every second, so much is happening. So the light begins to dance on the surface and becomes its own spectacle. So I'm gonna allow for water also in this series, because I love it so much. Generally speaking, the scenery can change for these kind of investigations, as long as one remains relatively undisturbed in company with natural surroundings. So being where I am now, and yet again getting ready to go into an investigation. Where should I now begin? What I really want to have in these investigations is a kind of mind which really is like water, and which can be continuously moving with a great deal of flexibility, and where the thoughts and the directions of thoughts, and also the forms in which I express them when I speak, can shift between various ways. Can be allowed to develop naturally. Not least, be ready to emerge as quite unique forms which may never have seen before. So this is a kind of investigative, experimental project where I'm taking a journey into the basic existential questions of what it means to be a human being in the world, right here, right now, and viewed from just the point of view from which I happen to see it. So subjectivity is all good here. It doesn't even have to be any clever insights. It can be anything it will be. For me, this is just really interesting and fun as a project, an experiment, and a journey to travel into and see where it takes me. Now, from this starting point, could be said about the present situation I find myself in when now entering into this investigation? And some of the first questions that naturally arise, and into which I would like to dive deeper. Something is clearly taking place at the moment. There is noticeable movement. I can hear things and see things and feel things. Something is very clearly experienced. Experienced as happening, taking place, playing itself out some kind of way. I touched upon this issue also here the other day in the woods, which at the present moment is a memory. And it does seem like a kind of basic fact from which everything else follows. And like a kind of basic fact which I can know to some extent with the knowledge being limited by what experience happens to be available, but which knowledge still, for what it is unquestionable. And what I mean here is the unquestionable fact of existence itself. The immediate fact that this is taking place. The scenario I am currently living through is actually being lived. So there is something real here. There is something definite, something convincing, something true, something which is more than just nothing. So what is it? I want to take a little look at that question. What is this? In a way, it's a funny question. Because the question itself is part of that experience which the question addresses. And in a sense, it's almost as if the experience itself, with everything included in it, is answering its own question. When I ask, what is this really? There is a sound which is heard of that question being asked. And the sound is happening in a room, or a space, or a place. And in that space, everything else is also happening together with it. So there is the question, and there is the questioner, which is me, whoever I am. I haven't come to that yet, but it feels like one of those questions which will have to be addressed quite soon. It is nearby, so to speak. But whoever I am here and experiencing this and asking this question and hearing this question being asked. What is this? What is it really? Can I even ask it like that? What is this really? What is it actually? Well, here it is. Being what it is. So the first interesting impression is therefore that the reality itself in which this question happens is itself an answer to this question. And if we now use the words waves, pattern of motion, light, surface, wind, and movement. Then these waves are now moving the way they're moving. The light is shining the way it's shining, the wind is blowing the way it's blowing. And I'm sitting here the way I'm sitting here. And I am whatever I am sitting here asking this. And all of it's happening at the same time. So all of it is part of the answer to this question, what is this? And the question itself is also part of the answer to itself, because it refers to itself and to everything around itself. And yet, while this much is clear, there's no reason to think it ends here. Because beneath this moving surface of what we call liquid, which can now be seen, sounds of which heard, there is an apprehension or a knowledge or a memory that there is something beneath that surface. Otherwise, how could the surface move? In some ways, the unique pattern of the surface of this liquid gives hints that something more is going on here. And that everything which is currently seen is only a small part of the story. And thus also only a small part of the answer to the question which was asked. What is this? Suddenly I see that it's something somewhat different now from what it was last time I asked just a few minutes ago. A little bit more has been revealed. The question has been considered a little bit closer. More aspects have become connected with it. More forms have emerged on the surface. More reality is emerging on the surface. The answer is a big answer, a long answer, and a continuous answer. It is what you see, and more.